into the match as players are drawing their opening hands. We're going to start this timer. And we are off for round 2.
So the most interesting thing about Full English Breakfast as well is all the different lines that it has.
It really does have.
You look like the deck is doing nothing, and then suddenly you lose the game. It's always really cool when they do the Psychotog, eat my own yard into the correct order, and then attack with a chroma. I think that's always amazing. I think it's very cool.
Right? I think he kept 7 with a 5 in a 5-land hand.
Yeah.
Definitely going to pay the price though with the duress on turn 1 taking his impulse.
Yeah, that's definitely brutal. He probably assumed that the impulse would just see 4 real cards.
Oh, for sure. But having it sniped there early.
Yeah. It's always tough though, right? Because he might not know what he's up against.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, see, pitching the birds here, because you don't really need a lot of mana, you just need to get your engine online.
Oh yeah, which, getting right to it, grabbing the squee. Gotta love Carl's deck also. Both players' decks very, very pretty.
Sorry, yeah, I'm kind of in awe, the City of Brass.
Oh, I would love to see the old City of Brasses. And the beautiful purple storm islands from Selden.
Yeah, this format, I appreciate the care that players put into their decks and deck building, card selection, art selection.
Surviving off the wall of roots here, just not having to take a point of damage there.
Yeah.
Getting another squee. The second squee has hit the bin.
I mean, it's interesting because, you don't know. I have no idea what he's going to look for after this. Mesmeric Fiend. That's actually a really good call here. Having seen Selden's hand, he knows, he's kind of low on options, so he can just set the game at his own pace.
Oh, yeah. Just pick it apart, and then both these squees come back. Let him fetch 2 more bangers.
Yeah, he's probably going to go get, after that, he's probably going to start being more aggressive.
I'm sure if he sees, we'll have...
Yeah, he's going to see there's nothing there, right?
I mean, and then do we just... If we see the coast is clear, are we just going to grab and slam a hermit druid? But opt-in response.
I think opt-in response is a good call here.
And it looks like it would have the opt would have taken the opt would have gotten hit by the fiend, but we're going to show 4 lands.
Exactly, yeah, exactly the move, I think. Because you make it worthless, and then hopefully you're just throwing into better stuff.
Exactly.
But I mean, threatening those 2 squeeze are pretty brutal here. It's just so much card advantage.
Thinking. Okay, Carl just passing the turn back.
So I assume here comes the combo pieces.
I would guess.
I think it's a fair assumption here because, if you've seen that there's nothing.
Oh yeah, this is the place. You have the mana. You have the mana set up. You have the survival. You have the squeeze. And here we go.
Yep.
Shapeshifter. Selden already looking at his board.
Yep.
Already picking through the board, trying to figure out how he's gonna side in this matchup. He's I think basically resigned. Yep. You can see Brian just fanning out his sideboard for the viewers at home.
Well, at least we'll be able to see what he picks too. Yeah, this is such a tough matchup. Especially, I think he was probably going into it blind.
Oh yeah.
Because if you get, if you only have 2 options and you get one of them to rest, it's really tough.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I gotta wonder what the thinking was behind keeping that 5-land hand. I mean, I get that. I mean, are there even that many matchups where 5 lands impulse flash is what you want?
Not. I mean, maybe. Like, it could be like leaning into a longer term strategy.
Did he have a read that Carl was on?
Like a land still.
Exactly. Like a control deck, and he was just saying, "Oh, knowing this, saw the island on Carl's Impulse Crew shirt and was like, oh, this guy's a blue player.
Yeah.
He's probably playing, Tide Control.
Yeah.
I'm going to really get him, like keeping a 5-line hand. But
yeah.
Definitely getting punished for not knowing that Carl is a
Feb enjoyer. He enjoys breakfast.
Very much a Feb enjoyer. Chat asking if there were tides in Selden's sideboard, and no. So looks like the sideboard for Selden is going to be 1 Powder Keg, 1 Annul, 1 Blue Elemental Blast, 1 Hydroblast, 1 Misdirection, 3 Brain Freeze, 3 Dominate, 4 Accumulated Knowledge, which I love.
Yeah.
I think that's an absolutely sick sideboard.
Dominate is so good in this matchup.
Very true. So it looks like we're flashing in response here, just digging a tiny bit closer, seeing if we can get any interaction for this kill. I think
pulling this breakfast is one of those combos. It's so crazy.
It's absurd. I think we're looking here for like the one of Boomerang.
Yeah, that's probably
was what Brian was looking there.
But once you get a board set up like this, you can just win in response.
Oh,
because he can just pitch his Triskelion to survive.
Yeah. So actually, do you want to walk the viewers through for anybody that does not know?
Oh yeah.
How does this Falling English Breakfast deck kill?
How does his deck work?
How does he win?
So there's a bunch of different ways.
True.
So Bullrush Shapeshifter says that it is a copy of the top creature card in your graveyard, and it retains this ability. So when you get something like the Phyrexian Dreadnought on the top of your graveyard, pull up the Dreadnought too, because this is actually the Devourer.
Yes. Devourer. So Phyrexian Devourer says that if its power is 7 or greater, put it into the graveyard. And it has the ability, 0 mana, remove the top card of your library from the game, to put a plus X counter on Devourer, where X is the card's casting cost.
Right, and this is the, I believe that the Oracle text is a bit different here.
So the fun thing that you can do with the Devourer is that its trigger only happens once.
So it's put X 1/1 counters on
Okay,
the Devourer.
yeah, sure.
And so what happens is the Devourer has a trigger on it that says if its power is greater than 7, you bury it. But as you put that trigger on the stack, you pitch the Triskelion and you remove all the counters to kill the opponent.
Yes. And it should be noted that you can continue to respond
Yes.
to the Devourer trigger at like the remove it or the bury it, the put it in the graveyard clause only happens once.
Correct.
And so you can continue to remove cards from the top of your library with that trigger on the bottom of the stack to then put a bunch of counters onto it, and then like you said, pitch the Triskelion and then shoot the opponent still with the dice clause trigger on the stack.
Yeah.
It's
interesting because it all happens so fast. You think you have a chance to respond to it, but you've already lost.
Yeah. Once that combo is essentially like once they have the Shapeshifter become the Devourer.
Yeah.
You're done. Like you can't.
Even with the Shapeshifter just on the board, if they have survival.
True.
Pitching the card is part of survival's activation, so you actually can't even respond to them pitching the card to survival.
Very
to change it into something else.
So, taking a look at deck lists again, Selden is playing. He does have 2 Powder Kegs made, along with the one of Boomerang. Other than that, so he has a 3rd Powder Keg in the sideboard, Oh, he has the 2 annuls main decks in the main deck. 3rd annul on the board. So the annul, the powder keg are probably coming in. Other than that, the dominates could potentially. I mean, it's maybe a little too slow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say probably then just the annul and the powder keg.
That's probably true.
And then on Carl's side, we're looking at a sideboard of 1 Chill, 1 Enlightened Tutor, 2 Gloom, 1 Hydroblast, 1 Monk Realist, 1 Ray of Revelation, 2 Smother, 1 Sphere of Law, 1 Uktabi Orangutan, 1 Weathered Wretch, 3 Xantid Swarm.
3 Xantid Swarm are surely coming in.
I love Xantid Swarm. I used to be a big Legacy player. I was a huge Storm aficionado, and Xantid Swarm was one of my favorite cards in all of Magic. Because it's just like, I love those cards that are, like, when you're playing a combo deck, you generally are not attacking with creatures.
Right.
And so to then be like, oh, well, I'm going to attack you and deal no damage, but also just kill you.
And it's such a narrow card, too.
Oh,
like,
it is.
It's like,
Absolutely.
This is very pointed at, I hate counter spells.
Yes. So definitely the Xantid Swarms are going to come in. I could totally see the Orangutan potentially coming in as just an answer to Dreadnought.
I think it surely does, because you can just you can tutor it up.
Now, Brian Selden won, well, the last 2 years of LobsterCon, so won the largest pre-modern tournament ever the past 2 years in a row, and last year did it on Dreadnought. Do we think Carl has in his mind that Selden is playing Dreadnought? Because I don't believe we saw anything. We were talking a little bit earlier about the similarities in card overlap between Mono Blue Tide Control and Mono Blue Dreadnought.
He probably doesn't know yet.
Do you make that bet of he's on Tide or he's on Dreadnought?
I do personally.
It's easy to do it up here from the booth,
true.
knowing the deck list.
That's
but I would be the turn 1 Xantid Swarm. You love to see it.
Yeah, that's really good here. I don't know. I mean, I think it's like, if it's a 50-50 and you can't wait to find out, like if like this, by the time you do find out, it's kind of too late.
Yeah.
Maybe you can sacrifice a game to it if you're already up 1.
Yeah. Which Carl is up 1. So definitely going to be on the play game 3 if there is one.
Yeah.
Has that. Either way, he's bringing in the Swarms, I guess.
Yeah.
He knows he's playing against
like
a Mono Blue deck.
Right?
Exactly. But I guess just some of the, if we have any more targeted hate cards against like Dreadnought, would be interesting. But oh god, turn 1 Xantid Swarm into a turn 2 survival is absolutely backbreaking, and
it's so strong here. This might be really tough for Selden to get out of.
Oh, for sure. And notably about Powder Keg, does not deal with enchantments.
That's correct.
Not so many times I have ticked a Powder Keg up to 2, being like, "This is a Ratchet Bomb." It's not a Ratchet Bomb.
That's very true.
But Selden, happy enough to just crack it for 1, get rid of that pesky little insect, which I think is very reasonable.
Yeah, well, I think it's here, like, I think Carl's looking to create a mana advantage, because I think he knows he needs to, in order to get his survival engine online, get the creatures in like the yard, so he can get his card advantage going.
Yeah, get the combo working.
Because he still might not be sure that Selden's on Dreadnought.
For sure. And now we are seeing Selden start quickly churning through his deck with a Gush and a Flash. And Dreadnought in hand, I believe he's just looking for an enabler here.
I would think so. Because he needs to start like turning up the heat. Because like I said, otherwise what will happen is this deck will get out of control very quickly. As you can see, he's already getting a mana advantage.
Mm-hmm. And there is a Stifle, so we can just jam here. Seldon's got to port first, set up next couple of draws. I think that he'd love to find some sort of counter magic, because I believe we're just sitting on a Gush, the Stifle, the Dreadnought, and 2 islands.
Yeah.
I think we have...
And the biggest issue here is that he can't go for the Dreadnought
3
because he
islands.
knows that he's going to bring in an orangutan to kill it.
Yeah, so no matter what, we have to find some interaction here before we can actually jam.
Yeah, and like at the same time, it's difficult because he might not know that he brought in an orangutan. Most people generally do, but it's like, do you take the gamble? But to me, it looks like a sure bet. But,
so Seldon does see a counterspell as well as a Gush, and I think it might have been an AK on the top of the library right now. Is going to pass the turn and draw into that top card. And then it is nice, he does have a Gush in hand. He can just Gush through the other 2 cards.
yeah.
So all 3, he's basically looking at all 3 of those cards from that board are going to be in his hand.
It's quite possible that he goes and looks for something like he goes and takes for a foil after casting the Dreadnought. Because if he just has to stop the 1 orangutan, it's not that bad.
Yeah, so I believe that top card is a counterspell. And Carl fetching up a Squee. Intuition, Mesmeric Fiend, Cabal Therapy, Squee, and Intuition, Cabal Therapy, Mesmeric Fiend, and Unearth, I think? Yes,
This therapy
Unearth.
could be huge or a massive whiff.
Curious to see. Does Seldon respond, or does he just let it happen? And then what does Carl name here?
It's interesting to cast the therapy before the Mesmeric Fiend, because you could glean some information with the Fiend.
True.
It's probably an educated guess here at this point.
Now, does he have the mana? If he casts his therapy and and everything looks clear, then, do we just go for it?
I would think so. I mean, because he only has 1 Stifle, right, in hand. So he's going to see that he only has the 1 Stifle, which means that his Dreadnought won't be safe from any. Yeah.
Okay, so we are just going to hard counter. Keep the grip closed. Yeah, and Carl is going to take at least another turn to set up. Oh, and grabbing another Xanthan Swarm. You'll love to see it.
Yeah, just trying to make sure that he can't counter anything, and he's kind of starved for black mana at the moment.
True.
So this gives him an option for something to cast, which I think is really important here to keep the pressure on. So, oh man, it's actually a really good match.
Oh, it is.
Matchup too. I love Full English Breakfast, man. It's like one of my favorite decks. It's so crazy. It's right up there with like Angry Hermit for me. I like Angry Hermit a lot too. I hate playing against it, but he knows he has to actually just go for it because of the card advantage.
Okay,
is
so
happening here.
it was a Vision Charm that was the middle card off the board. So that's huge.
That is huge here, especially
having
because
the Stifle to sit back.
well, he knows that Carl probably doesn't have any instant speed artifact destruction, that he's only sitting on the orangutan. So this at least gives him 1 attack with the Dreadnought here, and then maybe he can finish the job later. It also creates a new power dynamic on the board where it's like you have to deal with my 12/12 eventually.
Yeah. Now.
And now he can save that Stifle for the orangutan.
Yeah, but Carl does have his Anti-Swarm, remember?
That's true too.
So we do get to get in there with the Swarm, turn off the Stifle, and then finding cast our orangutan. But Carl looks like he might actually just instead, he might just kill him in response, or not in response, on his next turn.
Yeah. It's looking pretty scary here, actually. You know that when they start going to get the combo pieces.
For sure. Now, so we do have that Unearth in hand.
Yep.
So that will be able to bring back the Shapeshifter.
Yep.
And then I believe that's just going to do it. Make sure that we attack with. I mean, I guess.
Oh, he just drew the attack, didn't he?
Oh, gee, I missed that.
That is crazy.
So.
Yeah, I think this is the game here, right? Because he's gonna, if he just goes and fetches out, he can unearth the
Stifle on the Xantid Swarm trigger.
I actually thought that was a really good call. I figured he was.
Oh yeah,
like that 'cause you have to
he
threaten
has
it.
to. He has to draw into.
Yeah.
But now the question is here: does Carl still go for it?
I think you kind of have to.
So this puts him to the test. Does Carl have the gall to just go for it?
Oh, he's flashing back
the
That's
ball
huge
therapy.
here.
That is huge.
So he sees nothing.
Sees
so
that-
the coast looks clear,
Yeah.
but those gushes really add up.
Selden has essentially two draw steps, or not draw steps, sorry, two draws off
Two
the
draws
top
in him, yeah.
to find something.
A foil and something else would be really good.
Yeah, foil would be good. Are we playing Force Spike?
Didn't he? Yeah, didn't he have? No, that was
No,
the
yeah. So
Azores.
I think we need to hit foil with just the 1 mana up.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting because like right here, he probably has to counter this like unearth, and he knows it.
Oh, for sure.
That's why this is like, it's one of those decisions where it's like you just have to do what the game is telling you, and you're like, every instinct in your body is telling you that you have to do it. And it's like it's really tough because.
Did we find it? Oh, you get a redraw? Oh, 2 more gushes, or 1 more gush.
So many gushes.
That's a lot of. That's a lot of islands. I think 8 islands
Yeah,
in hand.
it's.
That was out of foil. I think he found
I think he found a foil.
found it.
He did. That's massive.
That's insane.
That is amazing. I love that.
6 islands in hand, plus an impulse for Brian Selden.
Yeah, I mean this is tough because it's like that was the only out he had
For sure. And we don't have the mana to orangutan now.
Not this turn, but his thing is phased out anyway, right? So
True.
the Dreadnought will come back on Selden's turn. He'll be able to get a swing in.
Put Carl to 2, but
Yeah.
notably not 0.
But is he running factory or no? Yeah, he's got 2 Mishra's factories in the deck.
True.
He could get through there later on
True.
with them.
And also, we are going to have to rip a mana source. Or is orangutan 3 or 4?
3.
Okay, never mind. So we do have a requisite mana.
Barely enough.
Barely enough.
So it's not if what does he have in hand?
It's an impulse. So you found a portent off the top.
I feel like this is brutal, right?
So
He has to see a foil here as well. Unfortunately, he didn't. He's gonna shuffle, try it again.
certainly didn't.
If that portent had been a stifle, this game would have been over.
Although not necessarily, because we would have to stifle the Xantid trigger again.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
I keep forgetting Xantid Swarm.
Yeah,
See,
Xantid
that
Swarm
card is so good
putting
here.
in work.
It is so good here.
And we did find another land this turn, so we are going to get to orangutan here.
Yeah.
We have round runoff 15 minutes and the hard dice down. Finish your round.
All right.
Brian asking targets for that orangutan. I think we're gonna choose. Oh, and I think that was a foil. Oh no, a null off the
it's a
top.
null,
So
yeah.
thought that was a foil. I was gonna say, oh. So doesn't have any more green mana, and I believe we've gone to 1. I think Carl's at 1 here.
Yeah. Well, it's like fully respected.
Actually, I guess it doesn't matter. Sorry to cut you off. It doesn't matter actually if he's at 2 or 1, because either way, if he was at 2, we'd only be able to survive it once,
Right.
which means we wouldn't be able to combo, since the combo needs both Devour and Try.
And Triskelion, yes. So yeah, he had to stretch it across 2 turns, which gives him another opportunity here to flip it out. The problem is that like he's going to be dead on this turn, probably, most likely.
Carl, knowing all that he has to do, getting in there with the orangutan, ooh, get him. But Selden unable to cast any cards for the rest of the turn. We're gonna get.
He attacked for 2 last turn as well.
Yeah, might not have. The app might not be updating. I'm not sure why, but that is going to do it.
Yep.
And
wow, that was actually that's a really good matchup to watch.
That was very interesting.
Like, Full English Breakfast is one of those decks. It just attacks from so many different angles the entire time.
For sure.
And then bringing in the Xantid Swarms to turn off counterspells is just so huge in this matchup.
Yeah, Xantid Swarm putting in a ton of work. That game. And
I mean, it ripped a Stifle out of his hand because he had to, like, just to be able to threaten. You know,
yeah, just to be able to potentially find that foil. The foil. So very well played by both players. Carl is going to advance